Hello friends, welcome back to our channel Techmaster. Now it is the time to use a Mosfet as a linear amplifier. It is not a tough job if we determine how to bias the Mosfet and use it a perfect operation region. Mosfet work in a three operation mode: ohmic, saturation, and pinch off point. The saturation region, also called a linear region. Here we operate the MOSFET in saturation regions provide perfect cue point. If we provide a small signal time varying and apply the DC bias at gate or input, then under the right situation the MOSFET provide linear amplification. In the above image, a small sinusoidal signal is applied to MOSFET, resulting in a fluctuation of drain current. And the applied sinusoidal input for the small signal, we can draw a straight line from cue point. The slope can be seen in above image. This is transduction slope. It is an important parameter for replication. So channel signal, the important thing, achieve DC biasing condition to serve purpose of generic voltage divider is to determine the value we need. Step a MOSFET is provided with high input resistance surge. So now we search. Now we search that MOSFET is use DC or AC input. MOSFET and type of field effect transistor, for that matter a solid power MOSFET, can be used to control the movement of DC motor when input is transistor. The gate electrodes electrically when MOSFET switch AC. In Quora website, so yes, you need to connect to back ideal body diode, connect source terminal, gate, connect the floating voltage supply between source and gate. This circuit is typically called a solid state relay. So we don't have an email, so we back. MOSFET. What supply MOSFET need? MOSFET make very good electronic switch containing lead and a metal oxide semiconductor, also known as metal oxide transistor, which Type, supply MOSFET, transistor need. So we will click on MOSFET. So MOSFET needs a DC voltages. What MOSFET is needed? So here is a period. I am working with a motor of 350 watt, 636 volt DC and 13 ampere current. On the MOSFET in info sheet it said this should be able to handle all of this. I just want to confirm before losing buying as to not break the MOSFET. What does the fat tab means? It says N channel, but does not that mean? Why are they so cheap compared to other electronics? Do I think heat sinks, or if yes, tap yes? To remain question should be asked in a separate question. No sir, not feel cheap anymore after with heavy metal recommended. You based on what, especially when you do need a heat sink or any heat sink which has a sufficiently low thermal resistance will do. The fat package is intended to be used to mount fat by soldering to a PC board on one which is sized properly for heat conduction. However, it's clear that you don't have to clue what you are doing, and I cannot recommend that you keep at it. Start small with a lower current load like a 12 or 24 volt 50 watt incandescent bulb. For this you can use a fit with a TO220 pack and an appropriate heatsink. This will let you get some experience with gate driver and flyback diodes. What you propose doing to fairly straightforward, but your current level of knowledge is almost certain to end badly. And channel refer to how charge. This is not good website. So here we gate drain source. Let's talk about the basic of MOSFET and how to use them. This tutorial is written primarily not a clock. If you are into how MOSFET work, MOSFET stands for metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. It is a special type of field effect transistor. Unlike BJT, which is current control, the MOSFET is a voltage control device. The MOSFET has gate, drain, and source terminal instead of a base collector and emitter. By applying voltage at the gate, it generates an electrical field to control the current flow through the channel between drain and source. And there is no current flow from the gate into the MOSFET. N channel, P channel, N channel gate. A MOSFET may be through of a variable resistor where the gate source voltage difference can control the drain source resistance. VGA voltage difference can control the drain source resistance. When there is no applying voltage between the gate source, the drain source resistance is very high, which is almost like open circuit, so no current may flow through the drain source. When the gate source potential difference is applied, the drain source resistance is reduced and there will be current flow through drain source, which is now closed circuit. In a nutshell, a FET is controlled by gate source voltage, which regulates the electric field across the channel, like pinching or opening a straw and stopping or allowing current flow. Because this property FET are gate for large current flow, and the MOSFET is commonly used as a switch. Like bipolar transistor, MOSFET is voltage control. Why BJT is current controlled? The base resistor need to be carefully calculated according to amount of current being switched. Not so with the MOSFET. Base resistor need to be MOSFET just apply enough voltage to the gate and the switch operates. Because their voltage control, MOSFET has a very high input impedance, so just about anything can drive them. MOSFET has high input resistance. How to use MOSFET as a switch? To use a MOSFET as a switch, you have to have it gets voltage higher than the source. If you connect the gate to source, it is turned off. For example, we have a IRFZ44N, which is standard MOSFET and only turn on when VGS equal to 10 volt, 20 volt. But usually we try not to push it too hard, so it's common for VGS for type of MOSFET. However, if you want to drive this from an Arduino which is running at 5 volt, however, if you want to drive this from an Arduino which is running at 5 volt, you will need a logic level MOSFET that can be turned on at 5 volt. For example, the ST. You should also have a resistor in series with the Arduino output to limit the current, since the gate is highly capacitive and can draw a big instantaneous current when you try to turn it on. Around 220 ohm is a good value. MOSFET comes in 4 different types. There are 3 main categories we need to know: N channel or P channel, enhancement deflection mode, logic level, and normal MOSFET. N channel. For an N channel MOSFET, the source is connected to ground to turn the MOSFET on.